We start in 570 CE. An army led by Abraha marches on Mecca with a clear objective to destroy the Kaaba. But before they reach it, the sky darkens with birds. God intervened directly, raining down stones of baked clay to decimate the invading forces. At that moment, the Kaaba stood as an untouchable fortress, shielded by a miraculous power that felt permanent. Yet if you fast forward barely a century, that impenetrable shield unexpectedly vanishes. In 683 CE, Yazid's army catapulted fire directly onto the structure. Years later, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf besieged the city, battering its walls to the ground. The violence continued until 930 CE, when a raiding group known as the Karmatians literally ripped the black stone right out of the wall, carrying it off and holding it for ransom for over 20 years. A paradox emerges here. The house of God had been guarded by literal miracles. Now it had become one of the most physically vulnerable buildings in the Islamic Empire. To understand what happened to that protection, you have to look 800 miles away. You have to look at a vast, seemingly exposed graveyard in Iraq, Wadi al-Salam, in the valley of Najaf. In 1258, the Mongols swept through the region, slaughtering hundreds of thousands and turning Baghdad to ash. Yet the Mongol hordes never entered Najaf. The city was left entirely alone. Centuries later, Ottoman and Wahhabi campaigns leveled neighboring cities and destroyed major shrines across the landscape. Once again, Najaf survived without a scratch. Even in modern history, when ISIS ravaged historical sites and leveled towns all over Iraq, their advance stopped exactly at Najaf's borders. While the thick stone walls of the Kaaba were repeatedly burned and broken, the resting place of Imam Ali in Najaf stood untouched. Why did the holiest site in Mecca lose its physical shield? And by what mechanism did that exact protection transfer to a cemetery in Iraq? The answer lies in what the Kaaba was actually built to be. When Prophet Adam laid the first foundations, and when Prophet Ibrahim later rebuilt them, they were executing a precise divine blueprint. That blueprint called for a small, modest cube. It was designed to be a temporary vessel. 30 years after the birds destroyed Abraha's army, it served its primary purpose. The Kaaba's stone walls split open, allowing Fatima bint Asad to step inside. There, in the absolute center of the sanctuary, she gave birth to Imam Ali. This event marked the arrival of the Wajh Allah, the face of God, manifesting within the physical world. Because the spiritual reality of the house was now walking the earth in human form, the stone structure had fulfilled its duty. The sanctity was no longer in the stone, but in the person of the Imam. From this moment, the physical vessel became vulnerable, while the sanctuary of the living Imam became inviolable. After the death of Prophet Muhammad, tyrannical rulers like the Umayyads and Abbasids realized the physical Kaaba was now vulnerable, and they used that fact to attack the rightful inheritors of the religion. Rather than simply attacking the structure, they deliberately rebuilt it. Rulers continuously expanded the courtyard and pushed the walls outward, altering the Kaaba's original, modest dimensions to assert their own political dominance over the site. Meanwhile, the miraculous shielding that once guarded Mecca remained anchored to Ali's resting place in Najaf. Najaf had been fundamentally prepared for this role millennia earlier. It is the Earth's oldest sacred burial ground, established by Prophet Nuh after the flood, to hold the remains of both himself and Prophet Adam. To keep it safe from those same despots who were battering Mecca, Ali's grave was kept strictly hidden for generations. It was only revealed decades later by the sixth Imam, Ja'far al-Sadiq, once the political climate allowed believers to safely gather there. Najaf became the permanent focal point of divine defense, a verifiable pattern of survival that endured because it cradled the physical remains of the Wajh Allah. Today, we are left with a massive structural paradox. The Kaaba is surrounded by towering expansions built by a succession of rulers, yet it rightfully remains the Qibla, the central direction of prayer upheld by every Imam. When you look at the endless cranes and sprawling concrete blocks surrounding the site today, you are looking at the physical footprint of centuries of historical usurpation. But Shia eschatology outlines a clear resolution to this tension. When Imam al-Mahdi reappears, he will not declare his return from the safe haven of Najaf. he will stand directly at the Kaaba. This wireframe shows the massive scale of the modern ground mosque. The Mahdi's mission is a precise, physical restoration. He will strip away every illegitimate expansion, collapse the bloated courtyards, and return the Kaaba to the pure, modest dimensions established by Adam and Ibrahim. Through that final act, the original physical vessel will be cleansed, and the spiritual sanctuary will return to its rightful place. At the end of times, the true history of the house of God will finally be whole.